Okay, let's unpack this. If you've ever felt like there's, more in you, maybe more resilience, more strength, but you just can't quite seem to tap into it, well, then this deep dive is definitely for you. Today, we're diving into a book that doesn't just promise transformation, it kind of demands it. David Goggins' Can't Hurt Me came out in 2018.
Yeah, and it really landed, didn't it? Right in the middle of this whole cultural conversation about self-optimization, mental toughness, what resilience actually means.
Exactly. And what's interesting, I think, is how Goggins gives us this really raw, almost confrontational counter-narrative. It pushes back against a lot of the talk about comfort zones and taking it easy.
It really does. His life isn't just a story he tells. It's kind of living proof, isn't it? Proof that we're capable of so much more than we usually think, especially when it comes to pushing past those limits we set in our own minds.
Right. It challenges the whole idea of what's possible.
Hmm.
So what does this actually mean for you listening? Well, if you've ever felt stuck, maybe overwhelmed by all the self-help stuff out there, or just feel like you're not hitting your, I don't know, your full potential,
Yeah.
this deep dive is going to give you a pretty direct path to understanding Goggins' philosophy. It's intense, no doubt. No excuses.
Yeah.
We'll look at how he went from this incredibly tough childhood, trauma, poverty, dealing with systemic racism to becoming a Navy SEAL, then an ultra-endurance athlete, and now this global figure for self-mastery.
It's quite the journey.
It is. So our mission today is really to pull out those core insights, maybe some surprising facts, and give you some actual tools you can think about, tools to confront your own perceived limits. We're going to try and really get into the mechanics of his mindset here. Okay, so the main argument in Can't Hurt Me.
Hmm.
It feels radical, but it's also weirdly simple. Our physical limits, they usually take a back seat to our mental ones.
That's the heart of it.
This book, it's not just his life story. It really feels like a manual for, transforming your mind. And he introduces this concept that's become almost famous now, the 40% rule.
Ah, yes, the 40% rule.
What's he really getting at with that?
Yeah.
And how does it, challenge how we normally think?
Well, it's a really profound reframe, actually. It suggests that when you feel totally spent, physically, mentally, when everything in you is screaming stop,
Hmm.
you've probably only used about 40% of what you're actually capable of.
Only 40%.
Wow. Yeah, it's not just some motivational slogan. There's a real psychological thing going on there. Your brain, its job is basically to protect you, right?
Keep you safe.
Exactly. So it sends out these signals, discomfort, exhaustion way before your body is truly at its absolute limit. It wants to conserve energy. Think about marathon runners hitting the wall.
Oh, yeah. Everyone talks about the wall.
Right. Most people
Yeah.
think that's it, the physical end. But Goggins argues it's mostly a mental barrier. And people push through it all the time, don't they? They finish the race. That proves there's more left than they thought. So Goggins is saying that instinct to conserve energy, it tricks you into quitting early. The 40% rule is about consciously recognizing that trick and pushing past it.
And this is where it gets really compelling, I think.
Yeah.
Because Goggins isn't just, making this up in an armchair.
No, not at all.
His credibility comes straight from his own life. It's incredibly intense. He's not some academic researcher. His whole philosophy is built on just raw experience.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking severe domestic abuse as a kid, systemic racism, overcoming obesity, and then choosing to throw himself into some of the hardest physical and mental tests imaginable.
Like becoming a Navy SEAL. I mean, that's one of the world's most elite forces.
Exactly. And then ultra-endurance races.
Yeah.
Not just for fun or for medals, but specifically as a way to test and push his mental limits.
Right, like a laboratory for his own mind.
Yeah. So when he talks about mental toughness, he's speaking from a place, well, very few people have ever been there.
Absolutely. And that leads right into his idea of callousing the mind.
Ugh, that phrase. It's powerful.
It is. He uses this metaphor, right? Just like your skin gets tougher if you constantly expose it to friction, like calluses on your hands.
Yeah.
Your mind gets stronger, more resilient, when you consistently and voluntarily expose it to difficult, uncomfortable stuff.
So choosing discomfort.
Choosing it. He sees that as the path to resilience, and it's almost a direct challenge to some modern self-care ideas that might focus more on emotional safety, maybe avoiding triggers, rather than facing things that make you grow, which, has its place too, but Goggins is on a different track.
So for someone listening, this means actively looking for things that stretch you, facing fear, boredom, discomfort daily.
That's the idea. Build up that mental callus, that resilience. It's about developing a tolerance for the hard stuff and seeing it not as something to run from, but maybe as fuel.
Okay, so if you ever felt like your struggles are unique or that growth should somehow feel good, Goggins is basically saying, nope, no shortcut on pain.
Pretty much, yeah.
Personal growth, especially the big kind he's talking about, it always involves discomfort. The struggle itself is what makes you stronger.
Like lifting weights, isn't it? If you don't strain the muscle, push past that burn.
It doesn't grow. Simple as that.
Exactly. That idea is the foundation for everything else. And it's why the book isn't really trying to make you feel comfortable. It's trying to provoke actual change, often uncomfortable change.
He's not trying to be your friend, maybe. He's trying to make you better.
You could say that, yeah. He's interested in you doing the work.
Okay, so this isn't just philosophy. He gives you actual strategies,
Yeah.
right? Tools you can use. The first one, maybe the most direct, is the accountability mirror.
Ah, yeah. Brutal honesty time.
How does that actually work? What's the psychology behind it?
Well, it's about radical self-honesty, like you said. He literally tells you to write down your weaknesses, your goals, the promises you keep breaking, write them on sticky notes and put them on your mirror.
So you see them every single morning.
Every morning, you have to confront yourself, literally look yourself in the eye and own up to where you're falling short or what you need to do. It cuts through denial.
No hiding.
None.
None.
Imagine, say, someone who keeps putting off a big project. They write, stop making excuses, start the outline by 9 a.m., right there on the mirror. It's a daily confrontation. It pushes you towards action, not just, blaming circumstances.
That is direct.
Yeah.
Okay, another big one is the cookie jar. Not actual cookies, sadly.
No, not actual cookies. It's a mental thing, an archive of your past wins.
Right. How does that work as a tool for getting through tough times?
So when Goggins is facing something really hard, maybe he's exhausted in a race or facing a personal challenge, he mentally reaches into this cookie jar.
Okay.
He pulls out memories of times he succeeded before, times he overcame something tough. It doesn't matter how small the win might seem to someone else.
It's personal proof.
Exactly. Tangible proof that he's been resilient before. It reinforces his belief that he can handle what he's facing now. So for you, it might mean actually writing down your accomplishments, keeping a journal of them.
Like building a mental power bank of your own successes.
Precisely. So when doubt creeps in, you have concrete evidence of your own strength to draw on. It's an active thing. You have to consciously bring those memories up, not just hope for the best.
Okay. And then there's maybe the most intense sounding one. Taking souls.
Yeah, that one sounds aggressive, doesn't it?
It does. What does he actually mean by that in terms of self-mastery?
It's really a psychological tactic. It's about completely shattering expectations, especially when other people or even that voice in your own head thinks you're about to break.
So outperforming when the pressure is highest.
Exactly. Performing with excellence, relentlessly, under the toughest conditions. The goal isn't just to get through it, it's to perform so well that it kind of demoralizes anyone doubting you, any competition, maybe even your own inner critic. And it inspires people around you. Plus, it cements your own mental strength. He talks about doing this during Navy SEAL Hell Week. His endurance, when maybe people didn't expect it, didn't just get him through, it shifted the whole mental dynamic.
So for someone listening, it means using doubt, other people's or your own, as fuel.
Yeah, fuel to just rise above and deliver your absolute best when it counts. You make your performance the statement. You prove yourself right.
It's clear these strategies are meant to be used, like all the time, relentlessly. And when you look at Goggins himself, he lives that 40% rule in ways that are hard to even comprehend.
Oh, absolutely.
Running over 100 miles with hardly any specific training for that race, dealing with broken bones, stress fractures, kidney problems.
Yeah, the stories are incredible.
What you see isn't just someone physically tough, it's the mind just dragging the body through things most people would say are impossible.
Yeah, how does he actually talk about the mental process in those moments?
He describes it almost like a constant internal battle, a war with himself. He doesn't ignore the pain, but he compartmentalizes it.
He forces his focus onto the very next step, the next marker, the next breath, forcing his mind to override the body's screaming alarms. He talks about having these internal conversations, like challenging his own weakness, sometimes creating this other persona, almost a tougher version to take charge when the regular him wants to quit.
So it's a deliberate mental shift.
Very deliberate. Pain becomes information, not a command to stop. And he finds this weird, maybe solace isn't the right word, but finds meaning in the suffering because he knows that's where the growth is happening. It's about changing what the pain means to him. from a threat to an opportunity.
Okay, so beyond the specific tools, there's this deeper shift in how we see struggle itself. He talks about pain as transformation. This isn't just about grinning and bearing it, is it?
No, it's much more active than that. For Goggins, pain isn't just something bad to be avoided, it's the actual catalyst for change.
The thing that makes it happen.
Yeah, exactly. The book completely reframes suffering. It's an opportunity to refine yourself, to forge something stronger inside. He's not seeking pain just for pain's sake. That would be masochism. He strategically uses it, leverages it.
How so?
Well, whether it's the physical breakdown in a race or even revisiting the really deep emotional trauma from his childhood, that pain becomes the furnace, the crucible where he's kind of reborn,
Yeah.
stronger, more defined. It's an active choice to embrace the suck, basically, to see it as preparation, as the price of growth, not just punishment. That's how he builds his strength and identity directly from the hard stuff.
Which leads right into another really critical idea, and one that can be tough for people. The victim versus victor mentality.
Yes, this is huge in his philosophy.
I mean, his background is harrowing, abuse, racism, poverty, yet he absolutely refuses to identify as a victim. How does he square that? Is he just ignoring the past?
That's a really important distinction to make. He doesn't frame victimhood as something forced on you by circumstances, like an external label. He frames it as an internal choice, a mindset you can either adopt or reject.
So you choose not to be defined by it.
Exactly. He pushes you to take that pain and turn it into power. Use the suffering like a sculptor uses clay, shape it into something useful, maybe even beautiful in its own way, his own life, right? From being overweight, depressed, working as an exterminator to becoming this elite operator and athlete. That's his proof.
That radical change is possible no matter where you start.
Right. It's a tactical shift in mindset. It changes how you face adversity. It's about taking back control of your own story, not denying what happened, but refusing to let it be the final word.
That's incredibly powerful. And yet,
Yeah.
it does make you think, doesn't it? His relentless drive, pushing through pain, it's clearly worked for him. But could someone see it as bordering on self-abuse? Is there enough room for recovery, for genuine emotional healing?
That's a very fair question, and probably one of the key areas where the book makes you think rather than giving an easy answer. Goggins' story is laser focused on overcoming, on conquering. The tone is very stoic, hyper-masculine, some might say, and it's incredibly commanding, very inspiring for many. But it perhaps doesn't spend a lot of time on, say, the nuances of emotional processing or acknowledging limits or recovery protocols.
So it raises the question.
Yeah, does he truly heal from the trauma, or does he just masterfully suppress it and channel that energy into performance? The book doesn't really dive deep into psychological healing methods. It presents his method. So it really challenges you, the listener, the reader, to think about your own boundaries. What does the balanced approach look like for you?
So it's a powerful method, but maybe not the entire picture of well-being for everyone.
That's a good way to put it. That distinction is important.
Okay, so bringing it all together then. Can't Hurt Me is clearly more than just one man's incredible story. It feels like this visceral, almost unapologetic doctrine for anyone who wants to seriously redefine their comfort zones and challenge what they think they're capable of.
Absolutely. His core message doesn't waver. Your mind, that's the battlefield. And mental toughness is your best weapon. He offers zero shortcuts, no easy answers, just this roadmap. And yeah, it's paved with hardship, but also with willpower and just brutal self-honesty.
He's basically asking you to look right inside, face the uncomfortable truths, and deliberately, day by day, callous your mind.
That's it. Make it tougher through deliberate practice.
So whether you end up adopting his exact methods or maybe find your own version, the book leaves you with this really powerful, maybe even unsettling question, right?
What is it?
What if you actually truly fully committed? What limits are you setting for yourself right now that maybe with a bit of that Goggins mindset you could just smash through?
It definitely forces that kind of reflection, and I think the ultimate takeaway from exploring his work isn't just a quick hit of motivation. It's more like a methodology, a way to reclaim your own power, your agency. One hard, purposeful step after another.
Yeah.
And really, to get the full impact beyond our conversation today, you really got to read the book. And importantly, engage with the challenges he puts at the end of each chapter.
Yeah.
The challenges,
Yeah.
that's where the theory meets the road. That's where the real work, the real potential for transformation actually begins.